Good evening. Good afternoon. I'm Frazier Thomas. Welcome to Family Classics. The film story which you're about to see is based on fact.
I liked him a lot because it's, I don't know, something part of Chicago.
I watch Garfield Goose every morning.
I watched Garfield Goose since I was little.
It was quite brought to life, I think mainly because of Frazier Thomas, and just the spirit that was brought into it was quite good.
Well, my, you look happy this morning and all wound up and everything. Where were you? Where were you? Yeah, secret. Something very secret. Yeah, well, what is so secret? Yeah. Is that so? Right. I wish I knew what he said. What did he say? Been down working on the advertising for his latest invention.
He was a nice guy, real nice guy.
I'll tell you, you're a wild and woolly bunch today. We're delighted you came. We hope you have as good a time as you sound as if you're going to have. We have a lot to do on the show today.
What a wonderful audience!
We had a wonderful audience, and
I enjoyed him as a child, and my son.
We pay tribute to a veteran of over 30 years in Chicago broadcasting, Frazier Thomas, a man who gave us a circus of fun, an unflappable goose, and warmth on 1,000 cold Sunday afternoons. Just like the name of his Sunday matinee, he was a family classic. First introduced Garfield Goose. He had seen the puppet goose used by Catholic nuns back home in Rushville. And as for the name Garfield, it was the telephone exchange for WLW. With the goose in tow, it was on to Chicago and WBKB television, where Frazier and Garfield added new life to an afternoon variety show.
Petticoat Party. We used to do it at the Garrick Theater on Rent.
Frazier and Gar moved to WGN-TV in 1954, and Roy Brown came with them. By this time, he was an artist-turned-puppeteer. In fact, it was Roy who helped fashion Gar's personality, along with those of the Goose's friends who eventually joined the show.
Gar had his ego, his temper. Frazier would decide what type of personality he wanted. But as each one of the characters came to life, of course, each one was an extension of my own personality.
And it's amazing to see how Gar has aged through the years and how I haven't changed at all. Not at all through the years. I look just as sweet, charming, and youthful as I always did. The old goose has aged a little bit, just a little bit.
At Garfield's side was his constant companion, Romberg Rabbit, an unemployed magician's helper.
Rom, he was the sensible one. He was the one that was level-headed. But Gar always managed to be the instigator.
This thing's going to tell you how to dress, what the weather's like, and is that so? Well, this is the way you're going to do it. May I look? I mean, this is the thing, you're going to get a patent on this so that nobody will steal it. Right. That's it. Piece of string, about 3 feet long. How much you gonna sell this for? Sell it for $1. We wouldn't be giving away too many secrets to find out how this thing works. Okay, how do you do it? You explain, would you let him do it? You know, just let him do it. You know, otherwise we're gonna run right into Hazel. But, okay, now. When you go to bed at night, you hang it out the window. Okay?
When you get up the next morning, you pull it in. Okay. If it's wet, you know it's raining. If it's dry, it's not.
And there was Mama Goose, a seasonal visitor, stopping by on annual migrations.
And I want to tell you, March has been pretty good to us so far, hasn't it? Hasn't been too bad. Not too bad. But you know, they say when it comes in like a lamb, it may go out like a lion. So we may have a few blizzards before this is over. All you can do is hope for the best. Expect the worst and take what you get. My grandmother used to say that, and my grandmother was right, exact. Grandmothers know best, don't they? You bet your life they do, Mama. Mama, you...
In a recent TV interview, Frazier beamed with pride over Garfield's longevity.
No matter what you may have heard to the contrary, Garfield Goose was the longest-running children's show in Chicago television.
It was Frazier's intent that the program not only be entertaining, but also educational.
Pioneer dolls. Dolls from our early history.
I decided it would be interesting to sort of encourage the viewers who were watching in learning things and doing things, and that's the reason I got into the hobby corner, and that's the reason I got into the pictures with the animals and so forth and so on.
With Garfield, the self-styled king of the United States, and Frazier, the prime minister, the show became even more successful than ever.
I think it was successful because it was good, clean, wholesome entertainment. The entire family could enjoy it.
When did you start?
And Frazier never talked down to children. He never did. And he respected children. And I think that came across on television. I know it did.
During the early days at WGN, Frazier performed on another program, The Fran Allison Show.
Many of you may not remember it, and I can understand that too, because it was a very well-kept secret. But it was a field so new to me that I went into it with a great deal of uncertainty until I met Frazier and realized what a strong personality he was and how dependable he was. He made everything so easy, and I enjoyed it.
Fran was perhaps more recognizable on another program, Bert Hillstrom's Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
I think we should move the show.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Oh, for him.
I'm going to move the show. I'll be silly. I like.
By 1961, it was felt that a showcase was needed for Channel 9's growing film library. So it was here on this set in the WGN studios that a Sunday tradition was begun for many in Chicago. The name of the program, Family Classics, featuring such titles as Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, and John Paul Jones, and Buffalo Bill. Of course, all of these titles were handpicked by Frazier. Family Classics was the brainchild of a young WGN executive whose name would later become firmly etched in the history of television programming by becoming president of 2 major TV networks.
Well, the station owns a lot of good films that were sitting on the shelf because they were kind of odds and ends films. They didn't really, they didn't fit into a format. You know, there was a great opportunity to take these films and package them and promote them with a host, which we did, and find a big audience.
They found the big audience in part because they found the right host.
Today's special 3-hour musical adventure is the screen adaptation of one of the best-loved books ever written for children.
Frazier was just an outstanding talent. Had developed great credibility in Chicago as a children's personality, and you know, we couldn't have cast a better person as host for Family Classics.
But he was more than just the host. Frazier not only selected the films, he supervised their editing as well.
He just liked good films. He went on a personal basis to see quite a lot, and he had a great knowledge of films. He was an excellent editor.
Such a good editor, in fact, that when a package of David O. Selznick films arrived with a firm rule against editing, Frazier managed to get around that rule.
Frazier wrote Selznick and said, let me give it a try. Selznick sent him a script and said, edit it the way you want it and let me know, and I'll let you know if you may. Well, Selznick apparently was so taken with the editing that Frazier had done, he wrote him a letter back, said, not only may you use this film the way you've edited it, but any time there's a film of mine you want to use, As long as you edit it, you have my permission. And from a man like Selznick, that's quite a compliment. I think Frazier was quite proud of that.
Having been on the air for nearly 25 years, Family Classics has itself become a classic.
Are you glad to be here?
Just down the hall in Studio 1, Frazier prepares to warm up a live audience.
It's getting nervous time.
It's the Bozo Show, and many in the audience have waited as long as 7 years for tickets. And circus manager Frazier is on hand to make sure it was worth the wait.
Let's give a big hand to our master of ceremonies, Frazier Thomas.
My, what a wonderful-looking audience.
Unlike other WGN shows Frazier appeared on, he wasn't an original on this one. When Ned Locke retired as ringmaster for Bozo's Circus in 1976, Frazier accepted the job, but with uncertainty. Having been used to a certain degree of organization, he didn't find it here.
It was part of the humor of doing the circus with Frazier, because of his adherence to a script so closely. And we were ad-libbing completely. Frazier would get so frustrated because he had been accustomed all these years to a very formal script.
He was a tremendous performer, and I felt quite certain that he would do what was ever necessary to do to make the thing work.
But it wasn't long before Frazier was having as much fun as the other Bozo regulars. Still, it was a type of comedy which he took very seriously.
When you try to get ready to do a piece of comedy, a comedy bit, sometimes the preparation for it is a very serious thing. It has to be done just exactly right.
Serious business, yes. So serious that only once during his 9 years on the Bozo Show did he ever take a pie in the face.
The way it had been rehearsed was that Frazier would walk in, blow the whistle, and say, "What in the world is going on here?" and stop it. Well, Frazier got in, and he never got the whistle blown. And I can remember him turning to me and looking, "What do I do now?"
When Bob Bell took off his Bozo makeup for the final time last year, the show would go on with Joey Dioria as the new Bozo.
One of our last few shows, we had Dr. Lester Fisher from the Lincoln Park Zoo, and he brought a large snake on the show, which he handed to Frazier, and Frazier handled expertly. And while he was talking and explaining about the snake coiled around his wrist and proceeded to slither up his coat sleeve. And Frazier was unflappable.
Oh, Frazier.
I'll tell you.
He's active, and so's this kid.
He's inquisitive, too.
You bet.
The animal segment, featuring creatures borrowed from local zoos, was a carryover from the old Garfield Goose Show.
Well, I have a handful of guinea pig here, Sandy.
He's not trying to strangulate me. He's just trying to hold on.
Trying to hang on, yeah. I do that with pretty girls, too. Same way.
Babe, when you go back,